And in a Life Science article, he said, quote, about 1,300 watts of sunlight per square meter hits the top of Earth's atmosphere. So 10% of that will produce as much as 130 watt light bulb per square meter. So I mentioned the top of the atmosphere because there is a certain point under which there's enough atmosphere that will create drag and eventually drag the rock, into the planet and turn it into a meteor, basically. That's levels of about 1,000 kilometers. So that's good news for satellites. Most of the satellites we put up there, including the ISS, that's all below the 1,000-kilometer mark. Some, geostationary satellites would have to go up past that. We'll get into all that here in a minute. So the rate of start is about 1,000 kilometers above sea level. How far they could go out? In theory, they could go out to the verse limit. The verse limit is basically the minimum distance that an object can approach a planet for the gravity of that planet to Mars. I mentioned earlier that the Mars moon photos is going to eventually turn into rain. That's because it will eventually hit the verse limit. So the deal is outside of the verse limit, objects and debris will clump up into small moons. And this is actually what happened to our moon. Enough debris from the day of collision were outside of the verse limit, and it just moved up. Okay, so calculating the verse limit for Earth is pretty complicated. It depends on a lot of different factors, but in some of the research that I did, I found that a general rule of thumb for comets, anyway, is 2.8 Earth radii, meaning that a passing comet will shatter if it gets inside 2.8 Earth radii, or about 17,800 kilometers. But I ran the facts a little stronger, including Francis Chamel, Christian Reddy from Launchpad Astronomy, and the consensus seems to be that our rocky rings would probably have a little bit tighter roche limit than an icy comet would, putting it somewhere around, say, 15,000 kilometers. So, roughly speaking, Earth's rings would exist in a kind of ring zone between 1,000 and 15,000 kilometers above the surface. Most likely anchored above the equator where the orbital speed is highest. Now, depending on how the rings form, they could take up a little bit or all of that zone. And say it was just a captured asteroid or comet, it might be a twin ring, and it could exist anywhere inside that zone. But that's not how Earth had its rings back in the day. Our rings came from a cataclysmic collision between two planets. That is no small amount of debris. So, in our case, our rings would have been big and full, kind of more like Saturn's rings, just out there, just spinning like a record maybe right in the ground. So, with all of those factors in mind, our winged Earth looks something like this. Now, all this is beautiful, but obviously we would experience the range from that outside vantage point, not very often anyway. We would experience them from the ground. And that experience would vary depending on where you are on Earth. From the equator, it would barely look like rings at all. You would just see a line from one horizon to the opposite horizon. As you move away from the equator, say Mexico City, the rings would widen and arc across the sky to the south, taking up a large section of the sky. Moving further north to New York, and you probably wouldn't see the bottom of the rings at all due to the curvature of the Earth. It would just exist in a permanent rainbow across the southern sky. As you approach the North Pole, the rings would barely be visible if they're visible at all. It would exist basically as a permanent twilight effect. The rings would be visible at all times of the day, barring overcast skies, of course, but it's at night when it's really interesting. Because, imagine the brightness of the full moon, but way closer and, all the way across the sky. You never really have night like we have now. But again, that depends on where you are. Back in the equator, you just see a bright line from one horizon to the other, giving you mostly the same view you get now, depending on the time of year, which we'll get to in a second. Then it goes to the poles, which would be almost identical to the sky above the poles right now with their long periods of light and dark. But in the middle to the upper latitudes, that's where you get a real show. High times in these areas to be so bright, you might not even need headlights on cars. The rings would dominate the sky, and far outshine the moon, which would appear like a dull dark wood. The ring would be by far the defining feature of the night sky, but the defining feature of the ring would be the Earth's shadow. In fact, you never see the full rings at night. As the sun sets in the west, the Earth's shadow will begin to appear in the east, slowly moving across the sky throughout the night, so by the time it disappears from the western horizon, the sun would begin to light up the sky in the east again. This is like timekeeping at night super easy, because you'll be able to tell with just a quick glance where the shadow is across the ring, what time it is. Well, so if you see the Earth's shadow grow, taking up more and more of the rings into that 23.5 degrees over the Earth that is around the sun. But it's not just the Earth's rings on the shadow that we change throughout the seasons, there's also the ring shadow on the Earth. And this is actually a much more important thing to talk about. Because those rings would make the seasons vastly more extreme, with hotter summers and way colder winters. Because in the summer, the sun would shine directly on, say, the northern hemisphere, but the southern hemisphere would be shrouded in darkness. And as the Earth moves around the sun, the opposite would come true. Meaning we would have very dark winters that last up to 6 months. Now, granted, it might not be nighttime dark, except for the rings would block all the light, but it would serve like almost like a window tint over the Earth, just reducing the amount of light in the surface. Less light and less heat, meaning brutally cold winters. And possibly warmer summers, because you wouldn't just be getting the light from the sun, you'd be getting all that light reflected off of the rings as well. In fact, there really was a moving band across the Earth where the reflection off the rings would basically focus the light in one spot, making it extremely intense. From the ground, it could almost look like two suns in the sky, creating a Tatooine effect. Now, around the equator, you probably start to see some really crazy effects in the spring and fall, because as those rings go more edge-on, the amount of light being blocked would increase. The shadows become darker, meaning that people living in the shadow would basically be in permanent night for a couple months. So right on the equator, as the year goes by, you see the sun move to that familiar endless figure eight, with the sun crossing the rings in the spring and autumn. Pretty much in Mexico City, things get more interesting. So the typical summer and fall leading to a dark, long, 15-week winter. So the sun going behind the rings around the end of October and not coming back out until February. It would be a similar situation in New York, except due to the higher latitude, the sun would only spend 8 weeks behind the rings, going behind around the 23rd of November and emerging around the 18th of January. Meaning Mexico City would actually have a longer and darker winter than New York. So the already colder temperatures in New York would make their dark days much more brutal. So yeah, rainy Earth would be pretty. It would make for some pretty fantastic landscape portraits, but it would make a very significant impact on the world. Like, living on a ringed Earth would be very different from what we're used to now. Because if we evolved there, we'd think nothing of it. We got all we used to, we would have been created by it. Like, our circadian rhythms would be vastly different to deal with the very bright summers and very, very long, dark winters. Plants and animals might be stouter and chunkier to kind of deal with the long, cold months. I think you can only speculate how we and other plants and animals would evolve differently under a ringed Earth, but the real fun speculation comes when you start thinking about how these things would affect our culture. Yeah, what are the different ways we'll find to kill each other on these rings? It would be a myth. I mean, I just think about how much the moon is influencing culture, and that's just a dot in the sky. Like, I released a video on Monday. It's the middle of the month. People are getting a little crazier around solstice. That's why we call crazy people lunatics. Lunatics are all over our art, our literature, even our religion. Because the rings will be brighter and more constant than the moon, which dominate all three. Speaking of the moon, when that mess up the rings, turns out this is the topic of much debate. Because the moon is way, way further away than the rings are. The moon is 400,000 kilometers away. That's much further away than 50,000. But the moon does still exert a gravitational force on the planet. I mean, it's close to time. But again, oceans of water are a vastly different medium than an accretion disk of particulate dust floating in space. I mean, just look at all the satellites we've launched around the Earth, and they're not affected by the moon's gravity. So in my research for this video, I ran across a scientific paper in 2016 titled Planetary Green Dynamics from Ultimate Equations in Celestial Mechanics by astronomer Pierre Reddy. And so, yes, it's something. And he was kind enough to respond to me, and one of his initial concerns was the difference between the orbital plane of the ring versus the orbital plane of the moon. Because, as my chart illustrates here, the Earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees, but the moon orbits on the same plane as the Earth orbits around the sun, meaning it's not lined up to the equator the way that the moon is. So let's just say this little ball here is the moon. It would be orbiting in this direction, and when it's on this side of the planet, it would pull down on the ring, whereas on this side of the planet, it would pull up on the ring. This is not a proportion whatsoever, but I believe it's like your arms are long enough. The point is, this could, over hundreds of millions of years, stabilize the force of the ring. Especially if the ring was created during space, which this might be why they're not around anymore, because the moon was a lot closer back then and would have had a stronger effect on it. So one could make the argument that in order for us to have the rings, we could have the moon. But then